So today I thought we'd take a look at Optic versus NRG on Icebox that happened, I think, on Sunday, because we got another interesting comp, and this one came from NRG because they're going to play Icebox without a Sage, and that is obviously pretty bold. You know, Sage is normally an auto pick on this map, and they're going to instead run this like very aggressive comp with, you know, a Chamber and the Reyna and the Jet, so extremely aggressive coming out from NRG. And I think they mentioned on commentary that NRG were like 16-2 on their last 18 Icebox matches, which of course is very impressive, but they are going to lose this one. And I do think that, you know, they did struggle without that Sage, and so let's take a look at a couple of rounds. They also did some cool things too, and we are going to look at those as well. But yeah, I do think that, you know, Sage is picked on this map for a reason, and we're going to see some of the things that might have caused that. And let's start with round 3, a round that they actually win, but again, I think already there was some like worrying signs if I was NRG straight away that things weren't going great. So anyway, they're going to do this A take. They have pretty much, if we look at the map, you know, they're all grouped up here, and you can see where Optic are, you know, very far away, so they're going to take the site. You know, it's their site to take, and they are going to do that. And so in they go. And yeah, they're going to get free reign of this site. But what's going to happen is Hazed is going to have to plant in this spot here, as you can see. Now, this is not a usual plant spot. I know that this might be called the default spot, but really in pro games, this is not a spot that you will often see people planting in. And the reason for that is because generally it means that you can't come back to any of like these spots in A main that you might want to and see the spike. You can't see the spike from back there. So anyone who does go back and wants to play a bit safe can't do basically when you plant in this spot. And so often what you'll see is either, you know, you'll get a Sage wall here and plant here a lot of time, or maybe a Sage wall there and a plant here. And those are considered just better spots that you can see from that A main location. But obviously without that Sage wall, he kind of has to plant here, because the problem is he doesn't know that someone's not going to swing out here and be able to kill him. You know, if he's planting like here or here, you know, someone could just swing out and kill the plant, and that would be pretty bad. So, and especially with low HP, Hazed, you know, feels like he has to plant in a bit of a safe spot. So anyway, let's run it forward, because he will get the plant down. Actually, this Viper Molly, funnily enough, is for, you know, the plant that normally comes in here. Probably didn't realize that Hazed was actually planting in this, you know, more awkward spot, which is quite funny. But we're going to see the retake come in, and FNS here on Sage is going to make a bit of a mistake, in my opinion, because he's going to do that. Now, why is this a mistake? Well, he is the Sage, and if you are playing Sage on this map, don't do that. You basically want to be the safest person on your team, because that wall can win you rounds. And I think that FNS doing that, you know, when he still had a wall in his pocket, wasn't great, because we've seen a lot of rounds in pro play where, you know, just walling up and straight up sticking the defuse will win you a round. And so FNS, you know, got a bit risky there when he probably shouldn't have, and should have let his teammate just go first, or maybe just even bait his teammate, to be honest, would have been a better play. But anyway, as we play it forward, NRG are, as I said, going to win this round. They do end up getting that kill from Crashies there. And, well, now here's what happens, right? So you get Victor starting to defuse. They do put a Viper Molly on the plant here as well. So he is going to get Viper Mollied. But that wouldn't have been enough to kill him on his own. And you can see, like, they cannot see him. You know, all of the rest of the players here, no one can see the spike. Now, perhaps they did this because they knew they had Soveralt, and, you know, the Soveralt is going to win them this round pretty much on its own, as they do manage to kill Victor there. So having the Soveralt perhaps, you know, was why they chose to play like this. But still, it was kind of a bit risky for me. You know, someone could have come on the flank and killed that Sova potentially. You can see the way that they've got their traps set up, that, you know, it could have been possible for someone to come around here and kill that Sova. And if that happens, they would have lost this round. I'm pretty sure about it, because none of them could see the spike. And so straight away, you know, there were some issues for me in terms of, you know, how they were going to get the spike down and how they were going to win these post-plant scenarios. But now let's come to round number 10 to showcase this problem even more. As you can see, it's 7-2 to Optic, so it is going well for them. NRG struggling in those post plants, you know, having to plant in those awkward positions. But let's take a look at the map. You can see that, again, we're just going for this A hit. You got the Viper on the lurk here as well through mid. And they're just going to try and hit this site. But Optic know now that, you know, the pace of the game has kind of been set, that without this Sage, they can just stay and fight and just deny the spike going down at all. And that's what Optic are going to try and do. They're just going to stay and fight. You know, normally what you'll see on Icebox is a bit of a retreat as these teams move in. But they realize, well, they can't get the spike down if we just stay. So that's what's going to happen. So let's run it through. And you'll see what I mean. As even though Ye hits that shot that he probably thinks he should hit, FNS uses that wall there on the right-hand side. They do kill the lurk of Haze there. Victor kills the lurk in mid. And now, though, we're going to see. You know, they aren't backing off at all. They're just going to sit and fight it. And NRG, this whole time, you know, did we get traded kills or whatnot? It's a 4v3. The Viper is pretty far away, so it's a 3v3 on site. But they can't get the spike down. Victor finds some with the spike here up at the top. And, you know, it's just not going to go well. They trade that out as well. And all of a sudden, EU's in a 1v3, probably thinking, like, what's going on? Does get that kill, but he is gonna end up losing this round. We can watch it, why not? As Crashies does a nice bit of kind of, you know, change of direction, you know, changes his position nicely here, and manages to find this kill, because EU has pretty much no idea that Crashies would be there, and so a nice bit of play from Crashies. But you kind of see what I mean, where they couldn't get the spike down, and so Optic were like, well, let's just fight them. You know, we'll just stop the plant, you know, make sure that they can't plant. And, you know, trying to plant in the top of the tube here, which is what they were trying to do. I mean, that's risky because it can be seen, and I'm pretty sure some died from here because it can be seen from there. And so, you know, pretty risky decision to try that, especially without a Sage. It is a bit suicidal, and you kind of saw the problems with it. But this is not to say that NRG came unprepared, because they did the super cool take here in round number 12 that I absolutely loved, and I've never seen a team do this. I literally don't think I've ever seen a team do this. But they're basically going to use the fact that they know that Ye is playing a chamber, and he had done this a couple times. So basically they're going to use that against him and manage to do something that I've never seen. So let's run it through. So on the map here, you can see they have this Viper wall here, and this Viper wall might probably lead you to believe that, you know, they're going to go this way, but they're actually not going to go that way, which surprised me as well. But let's run it through and see what happens. So they are going to send up this Viper wall straight away here. They follow the drone. They see Ye there. They get the kill on Ye, and we also have a Viper orb on this as well. So, you know, full mid type thing, and they're going as a full 5-stack as well. So they get the kill on Ye, and now they just go fast through like the A mid split. I have never seen an A mid split. Then they, you know, cloud burst this as well. So obviously anyone kind of in the back kitchen area, anyone all around here that would normally be like a threat to this, can't watch this cross. And now we have FNS here in like, you know, a prime position. If he just sprays through the smoke, he, you know, probably gets a kill, but instead he kind of panics and jumps, and I don't think he expects all 5 to be there, and obviously dies. And now Crashies and Victor here, who were on A, are in this really weird position. As you can see, they die. And I've literally never seen a team do this, but it's pretty cool with the setup, right? The Viper wall stops like the first peak, and then the Viper orb is going to catch anyone there. Then the double cloud burst here is going to get you in here. And you don't often see this a lot because it is pretty suicidal. You know, I mean, someone could just stand up here and spam down here and probably get a kill, to be honest, even in the orb. So, you know, it is risky. And then obviously you don't know whether they're going to be up here or here to start. And you don't know, you know, even when you run in here, I mean, again, someone could spam you through here as you're running through the cloudburst. And even when you run into the site, you know, they could have done what Optic did, but they also could be in a ton of different positions right around the site as well. So it was pretty risky, but it was very well run, and I really liked it. And now let's come to the very next round. And this is the pistol round for Optic's attack. But now they're going to struggle because they're going to use their Sage Wall not for the plant, and we're going to talk about why this doesn't work. They're going to try and fake it and then come back to A. Now, the reason that they're going to do that, and there's 48 seconds left in the round, the reason they're going to do that is obviously because their Viper has a lot of space and can clearly probably tell that, hey, no one's on A. They've been mulling around for a very long time in this area. They basically took this area in like the first 10 seconds and then just like stayed there for like almost a minute straight. And everyone just kind of just waited in this half of the map, aside from the Viper, for like a minute straight. But they are eventually going to, you know, try and fake this plant and use their Sage Wall. So let's take a look at exactly what happens here. So you can see here that the Viper is taking that space on A. But here you go. You get the wall, and you get the tap of the spike, and then FNS runs back. And now they're going to just slowly creep back towards A. But what you're going to see if we watch the minimap here, because it's probably going to be more informative, is NRG kind of have the read. You know, because they're coming back towards A as well. They kind of sense that something's up. And when that happens, you know, and they just randomly decide to go A, you probably, you know, had a feeling like someone's probably A. And as you can see, by the time that, you know, Optic have managed to get towards the safe site, NRG are like right there with them. And there's only 16 seconds left at this point. 16 seconds left. Marv, you know, got one kill but then died to some on the trade. And so now, you know, like the Sova flank from the other side is a bit useless, and FNS can't plant the spike, and he has to try and plant the spike, but he dies to EU, right? And again, they don't have that Sage Wall to create a safe plant location for them, so they're kind of screwed. And, you know, this fake didn't work for a couple of reasons, and we'll get into it as we just see the rest of the round play out. As you see, Crashes was left last alive here, but there's just no time, right? And so eventually when they win the round, EU comes up the rope and gets the kill. But why did this fake not work? Well, essentially, I think it was for a couple of reasons, right? They put up this wall and then they like tapped the spike and ran back. But he ran back, so you heard the steps of someone running back. The spike obviously didn't go down. And then it was just radio silence on this B site. Like complete no action on that B site at all. So obviously that would lead you to believe, well, they haven't planted and we haven't heard anything. They probably have gone back the other way, right? Like there's no other real assumption you could make. Also, I think that this probably wasn't the best idea because a Sage Wall on pistol is insane. Like, you know, it takes so long to destroy on a pistol round that wall probably would have stayed up the whole time. And that means that you can basically just defend like this little gap of area on a pistol. So you know where they're going to be pretty much, because this wall is going to last a very, very long time indeed. And that's going to slow down the retake even more. And so, you know, I probably, if I was Optic there, probably just would have planted the spike. You know, I probably would have just gone, hey, let's just plant. But they didn't. And again, without a Sage Wall to plant, you know, they just didn't have the time to get that plant down in a safe location, and they ended up losing the round. But now let's come to round 15, where we're just going to show off like a pretty normal round. It's going to look similar to the round that they ran before. If we come to the map, again, they've got, you know, this B stack and the Viper over there on their own. And again, this Viper is going to, you know, work their way up towards A. But this time they are just going to plant on B. They're just going to decide, let's just plant this time. And we're going to see that it goes pretty well, right? Because this is why this is kind of the meta on Icebox. Because it generally works pretty well. You know, FNS, this is the beauty of the wall, right? He's able to get that plant down, and all of a sudden, now it's on Optic, sorry, to, you know, they have to do something. And whilst this is going on, as we see with the Viper there, you know, these players are having to run around here, and, you know, that's going to waste time for this retake, because these players have to wait for them, and all this time, you know, the Viper is kind of like chasing them in a police chase behind them. And they're going to end up winning this round. And this is why this is kind of the meta on Icebox. Because as soon as you get that plant down, it's a pretty large map that the other team has to rotate to. So that's going to waste some time. And normally what we would see in this scenario is the defending team would put down their own Sage Wall and just start sticking it, you know, and say, deal with it. But they don't have that Sage, so they have to just actually run a full retake. And as you can see, Marv's flank there eventually comes in big, and they end up winning the round and go up 9-6, and they end up winning the map pretty comfortably. And as I said, NRG were meant to be pretty good on this map, but without a Sage, I think they struggled.